Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers,
Hello, how do you do? We are the boys in white and blue, and also white and red. And we are back for another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
And I'm Naveed Mashinchi.
And we've got a two-part show for you tonight in the podcast. Part 1, we're going to look at Whitecaps and MLS. Part 2, international flavour, the World Cup qualifiers, everything that happened with Canada, and sitting pretty. We'll talk about that though shortly. But before we get into any of that, we're going to start with our gift that keeps on giving. The box of Steve Pander's 2011 Upper Deck MLS trading cards that he gave Zach and me for Christmas. We're opening a pack a week. We'll rattle through this week's pack, and from chatting before we recorded, some great news in Zach's pack. I'm delighted.
Yeah, this is, I believe, pack 27 out of 36, and I think Kirk is calling this the double pack, although I don't think it's all doubles, but we'll see.
So, kick things off. Who's your double?
It's a guy we know better as a Portland Timber. It's, I think, their first MLS captain, Jack Dewsbury, Sporting Kansas City.
Oh, yes. I got him
You
in
had
my
this one,
things
right, Michael?
last week, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, he might have been in my team at one point. I can't remember. Okay, well, I've got a name you will know, but in this card, he was playing for the LA Galaxy. He's a defender, Sean Franklin.
Oh, I got him last week. Yeah, it's a good one. My second double of the night is in your starting 11, I believe, playing center back for you. It's Colorado Rapid, former TFC, Marvell Wynn.
Oh, I've got a Whitecap next, although he's not wearing a Whitecap jersey. Good friend of former AFTN writer Aaron Campbell. He's a midfielder, Atiba Harris.
Oh, that's a
I
great
thought he
one.
was a forward.
Well, they call him a midfielder forward, I think, but because he played wide on the wing a little bit.
He's from St. Kitts.
Did he play in the back too at some point?
Dude, he's not just
Yeah.
from St. Michael. He's not just from St. Kitts. He was just elected to be the president of the Football Association in St. Kitts.
No
Oh,
way.
really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's been the big buzz.
I knew he was going back and he had some plans for launching a team. Him and Aaron had spoken about launching a team and all this kind of stuff. So that's even better what he's done now.
Atiba Harris. I thought you said Aaron was a part in charge.
Oh,
Michael, I have a double that hopefully I can trade with you. I don't know if you have him because I don't want him. It's a flounder. He was a DP, I believe, for them. Midfielder, Alvaro Fernandez.
I think I have him. Is he not in my team? Oh no!
Those who are
that's
listening
the
who also have these
Gonzalez's,
cards.
Yeah, I've got Tim Ream from New York Red Bulls.
I got him. I'm on double number 4. It's a striker from the Real Salt Lake Football Club. It's Alvaro Saborio from
I am
Costa
so
Rica.
glad you're getting all these doubles. It makes me happy. Although the doubles that you've got, I also have, so we can't swap. So that's not great. A Dallas midfielder, Marvin Chavez.
Oh, I don't think I have him. I have a person who's new to me, but you have him, and he's in your starting 11. He would be in my starting 11. Now I have 10 out of your 11 starting 11 cards. I don't know what number he was wearing then, but it's I forget the name of his current club. It's in Finland. It's Kai Kamara.
Oh, you probably can't pronounce his current club in Finland.
I wouldn't even try.
I think you've got this. I'm not sure if I do. Chicago Fire midfielder Logan Paws. I remember making a joke about dogs.
Yeah. And I saw him 5 out of 6 for doubles today. It's
wow.
Chivas USA's Giancarlo Maldonado.
Oh, well, my final card is actually a legend of the game.
Oh.
From Western New York Flash. She's a forward. She's a Brazilian.
Oh, Marta? Oh, nice. Wow. Very nice.
It says
I'll trade you my 5 doubles for her.
She was named FIFA's Women's World Player of the Year every year from 2006 through 2009. She gets nominated every single year as well. But that is our cards for this week.
So a bit of information just to follow up. Atiba Harris won the presidency on August 29th.
Yep.
And Kai Kamara plays for HIFK football.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That is easy to pronounce.
I was going to say HK, and then I was like, "It's not HK."
Well, that's the fun part of the show over. Now we've got to talk about Whitecaps, because do you remember years ago when they did this big push on social media about Fortress BC and no one's going to beat us at home, and then they lost and didn't win many games at home for a spell after that. So all the talk was about we're 10 games undefeated. And I know they have to do this to sell tickets, and it's like, it's fine. It's because it's like, there's not been a lot to cheer about recently, so let's make the most of this. But of course, when you talk it up, is it going to be 11? Are they going to set a record for all-time wins, home wins in a row, and all this kind of stuff? You're setting yourself up to fall, and they fell on Friday night at BC Place. Disappointing 1-0 Cascadia Cup loss to Portland. I was wondering going into this, what kind of Portland Timber side were we going to see? Were we going to see the team that got absolutely gubbed at home by Seattle? Or the team that went to Seattle and came away with a surprising win? As it turned out, we didn't see either of those teams, really. They came away with a win. I don't think they were very good. Naveed, just what's your overall thoughts of this one?
So yeah, flat performance, I think, from both teams, to be honest. I mean, it was an exciting game to watch, in my opinion. I think a point for both teams would be a well-deserved result. Even though, I mean, at the end of the game, I think that big chance to the Caps. But either way, I mean, nothing exciting, to be honest.
Naveed, have you been reading my tweets?
Yes.
A flat performance, like
perfect.
That has lost its carbonation.
I think I liked it too. Did I? Didn't I? I don't know.
Maybe you did. I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't read any of Twitter tonight. I was busy writing stuff down for the show and putting things together at the game.
No, Zach was spot on, but I mean, he perfectly described it.
I mean, the first half again was really disappointing and really flat. Second half was exciting. They showed some great flashes. What did you make of it all, Steve?
Well, if you're going to describe it as a flat performance, the person who opened the can and left it aside was Vadi Sartini with his lineup selection.
Yeah, seriously,
I did not like that lineup at all. Basically, a couple of things probably right off the bat. Casito should have been on the pitch right from the beginning. I'm not sure why he was left on the bench. And if you're going to bring a number 10 in, have him do number 10 stuff. Why is he he needs to be more centralized in order to direct traffic. And I felt like he was sometimes lost on the wings too often.
I agree with sorry, keep going, Steve.
And it was just enough, nothing out wide. The same thing with Dahomey. You put him in the middle, but he's dangerous on the wide areas. And you've basically neutralized him a little bit too. I'm not a huge fan of the Christmas tree formation. Sure, it should maybe come once a year or something, just like Christmas, but it shouldn't be there all the time.
Well, it's a 3-4-3 start tonight, so that wasn't Christmas tree.
The way it was shown on Twitter, it was shown in a Christmas tree in the lineup, so I kind of took it as that.
On the broadcast, they called it a 3-4-2-1. So again, very narrow at the top.
I mean, the thing with Gold, though, like in Portugal, if you look at his stats, he spent a lot of time out as a left winger. So he isn't just a 10. A lot of his play is up that left side.
A couple of things of what Steve said. I agree about Caicedo. And I know, Michael, we were talking about this, I think, before or around last game, about how you felt like he didn't get the start because of the formation and better wide and has a good spark off the bench and whatever. But I think in this game, and maybe this is the opposite of what Steve was saying about Dahomey, but I think Caicedo is a player that could start in one of the two spots or the wingers of the three or whatever, and be both more narrow and occasionally go wide and still be effective in whether it's what they had tonight, 3-4-2-1 or a Christmas tree. Like, I think he can start narrow and expand a little bit because he does bring so much creativity and maybe more importantly, pace to their team.
Sorry, Zach, to interrupt. Actually, when you say they have those two narrow guys, and it makes totally sense, but I didn't understand why then Patrick Metcalf and Russell were then playing wide in the midfield. Like, there's no speed, anything at that.
There was a lot confusing tonight. Like, I was at the game, so I don't know what the commentary said about this, but in the second half, we were sitting, chatting, going, what is the formation? What on earth is on the pitch just now? And then when the last subs came on, and they're bringing on Leo and they're bringing on Daber, was that the last sub? That was the last sub.
No, it was. Was it? It was.
Yeah, that was the last one.
You're right. Brown and Cavallini.
Then it was like, well, how on earth are you fitting this into the team?
What it was Baldy was supposed to drop into the back three like he did in that.
Yeah, he was basically playing as a centre back.
Yeah, he was part of the three at the back now.
Because taking Godoy off to do that just seemed baffling to me. Like, why would you not just do a straight Baldy for Leo swap and then try and somehow tinker about with things to fit in the front four? Because they finished the game with their best front four, a really attacking front four. And the front four you really wanted on from the start.
Well, yeah, they weren't going to get Cavallini up. He was probably not capable of playing a full 90
probably
or 60.
Not. I would maybe have brought him on at the half, though, I think.
But that's where I'm talking about, like Dahomey, Gold, and Caicedo behind White. I feel like they've had their best success at that. Yeah, sure, once in a while they might not have it. They might run to a low, but overall, that's where you're going to get most of your goals from. And the fact is, we've talked about it. Their midfield is not the strongest, and then they put 4 central midfielders.
Yeah, it was very odd.
It was a very young midfield as well. It's like young guys, rusty.
I felt like
great.
I felt like Bickle was pretty good in the middle. It was good to have him back in the middle, but I agree with Naveed that there was a real lack of pace wide. The other thing, which maybe we could talk about more later or whatever, but one of the things I was concerned about I think it was the last game, is I think what's slowly starting to happen is with Ryan Gold scoring so many goals, it feels like they're looking for him a little bit. And again, maybe not tonight so as much, but definitely in the last game, they're looking for him to like get on the end of something to score, as opposed to being like the guy the ball goes to create, which I know he can do both. I don't get me wrong. I just think they should probably do more of that former and do the latter as the secondary. You know what I mean? Like, try and allow them to create and then maybe look for him to get on the end of something first, where I think those things have been inverted a little bit. But
because like I listened to the post-game show coming home. I listened to Vanny's scrum driving home, and then I listened to the post-game show, and Vanny was on that. So Colin Miller asked him about Ryan Gauld tonight and touched on what Steve said as well. He's like, where do you see him? Do you see him as a number 10? Do you see him out wide? And Vanny said, well, he can be a 10 if you want to call that, or he can be an inverted winger or an inside winger, whatever you want to call it. And then he felt Ryan Gauld had a good game tonight and that everything they created went through him. And then Colin threw the stat, well, he only had 74% completed passes. But at the same time, that's not necessarily on Ryan Gauld. Because if he's trying to make a pass and someone's not running into where he's making it, it goes against him. I thought he was lively tonight. It definitely wasn't his best game. Diber Caicedo, when he came on, had a spark about him. And Christian Dahomey, in that first half, was invisible. But then after half-time, Christian Dahomey was all over the pitch and fantastic. It's just baffling.
I feel like if you're going to have Diber as a spark, don't wait till the 70th minute to put him on. Get him on earlier. Like, I don't understand. I don't really understand, but I can, they put Brown on earlier. I would have preferred Diver to be on the first guy and then wait for Brown to bring him on later on, or bring both of them on at the same time.
When I talk about the subs actually in general, I find this quite irritating, and it could really have backfired, and you could maybe say it did backfire. So you bring on Javaine Brown in the 54th minute. Then you bring Cava on in the 62nd. Both single-use substitutions. So there's 2 of your 3 windows gone. So it's like you're either going to make 2 or 3 subs in your last window, and in the end they made 2. And at one point, they had Leo Owusu ready to come on, and then they got him to put his penny back on and sit down, and it looked like they were just going to bring Diber on, and then Vanny seemed to have another change of heart, and he got Leo up to come on as well. Diber hadn't even been warming up for the start of the second half, and we're like, is he going to come on? What on earth's up? So, I mean, the plan had obviously been to bring him on late, but I think if you're going to make that Javaine Brown substitution, you either make it at half-time, or you bring him and Cava on at the same time, so you've used that one window. Because if we'd had an injury after we'd brought Cava on, we were screwed then, because what were we going to do?
Yeah, the only way they were getting another sub on was with concussion protocol.
Yeah.
And you can't bank on that.
Or you could whack someone in the head just in the hope of getting that, but that's probably frowned upon in this day and age. I find it so baffling. Like last week was baffling, and it worked. And I mean, they could have salvaged a point from this easily. They could have salvaged a point and had chances down the stretch. But I don't know. I mean, I asked Vanny last week, does he like to mix things up and have all this? And he's like, no. But that's 2 weeks in a row. So either he's just trying to throw things and see what happens, or he's trying to confuse the opposition. I don't know. But
the 4 midfielders, like Steve said, having 4 central midfielders. And the 4 didn't make any. I don't know. I'm curious to see what he was thinking. Like,
he moved away from what was working as well. I mean, we touched on it on last week's show, Steve. We said, well, you maybe go 3 at back, 3-5-2. I didn't expect for a minute 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, however you want to call it.
And the thing is, last week made the difference between last week and this week was you have a expansion team that is kind of, here and there. You never know what you're going to expect from them, so you can take advantage of confusing them. Whereas Portland's an established team that has established players across the pitch that can handle when you throw things at them. But I felt like their own team was more confused than Portland was by the.
Yeah. I mean, if we look at the first half, Portland were the better side for me, but there wasn't lots of clear-cut chances. I guess Portland had a couple because Felipe Mora blasted over from a good position 5 minutes in.
And then
How did he miss that?
Oh,
he missed that, and then Esprilla on a counterattack.
That was it. Yeah, the quick counter from the corner.
He had a free header in the box. He just couldn't get it.
Yeah.
That was that was like the give and go, right? With Blanco out wide.
I believe so. You're right.
Yeah, that was a really quality chance that he just couldn't get the power on the header. But the Mora miss was like shocking.
I've got to say I was disappointed in Portland. Defensively, they were organised, but their attack. I mean, we've seen Portland the last couple of years. They're such an exciting attack, and they just did not have that tonight.
But they've kind of since they lost to Portland. Since they lost to Austin 3-1. And then, 2 games before that, they got dropped by Seattle 6-2. They've gone on basically the 3 games, the last 3 games, they have clean sheets. And the last 60 minutes of Portland, they didn't allow a goal. So that's essentially more than 3.5 games, they haven't allowed a goal. So they're kind of probably, after giving up so many goals, they're probably kind of reestablishing their ability to play defense, knowing that that's a big weakness, because their biggest weakness on the pitch is Stephen Clark. Like, if you get shots on him, you're going to score goals. And they didn't. The problem is the Whitecaps, their best shot was stopped by Bravo. Off the line. So that's about it.
There was a couple of corners the Whitecaps sent in the second half. I don't know if you guys picked this up. Clark was about 5 yards off his line.
Yeah.
And it's like you just need a looping header or something, and it's like over him.
He's not a good keeper.
Yeah, dodgy keeper. The one I know, he's been playing less and he's getting older and all that kind of stuff, and he wasn't unavailable tonight or whatever.
Yeah, I had a sprain tonight.
Portland is a different side without Diego Valeri.
He hasn't had a great season.
Yeah, what's the deal with him? He hasn't been playing lately.
No, he'd been on the bench and he hasn't featured that much. And he nearly left, and then he signed this deal to stay. I would not be surprised if he ends up going back to South America or something, if he's not getting playing time.
Although at the end of the game, it seemed like Blake Price was awarding the game of the player of the game to Diego Valeri.
Really?
Yeah. It sounded like, I rewinded a couple of times, it sounded like he was giving it to him.
I mean, Portland had all the best of the few chances that there were in the first half. The Whitecaps' best chance came in the final minute, 45th minute. Christian Dahomey, the only real thing he did in the first half, he sent Ryan Gold free and goal. Well, not really free and goal, but sprung him forward, and Gold just couldn't really get a decent shot off. I mean, that was the Whitecaps' best chance. Possession in the first half was 50-50. Shots were 76 for Portland.
Yeah, I would say they weren't the best chances, but they did have a couple of flicks on that from Brian White around the 40th minute mark, basically. But it wasn't. I essentially, if it was a better striker, more talented striker, they probably would have been more dangerous. But at least they got something on goal at those points.
Yeah, White had another poor game. That was genuinely why I thought get Cava on to start the second half, because at least it would have some spark. But then we've seen what happens in the second half, and White's got his goals. I mean, I don't want to go through this all over again, because we've talked about it a lot in the Vid.
Yeah.
But no first half goals again. They've only got 6 first half goals all season.
Yeah, it's probably one of those things for the whole season this year.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's mind-blogging. Really, I have no idea how I mean, I'm sure they've tried to change maybe their warm-ups, whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, as a guy that's played at a high level, you've played pro, it's like, does it just get in your mind by that point?
Maybe it gets into your head at some point, but still, I mean, even if it gets to your head, you would even be even more ready to actually be fired up from the get-go, because I mean, it's in your head. You should be like, you should know. I mean, we can't have another poor first half performance.
It seems like
weird.
They're scared of giving up a goal, and thus they're not really pushing forward. But they're still not good enough defensively to stop that goal from going in. So it's kind of like you're trying to you're giving up something in order to maintain a scoreless or keep the other team off the sheet, but you're still not doing it.
Vanny was asked post game on the radio about it, and he was also asked in the scrum as well. But he didn't give this answer in the scrum, but he gave it on the radio. He said that it's maybe time that the Whitecaps need to start having some self-belief, that they're not a little team, that they're a team that can go toe-to-toe with everyone. And he feels that they maybe try and shut up shop too much, as Steve said, that they're worried about giving up that first goal to the extent that they then don't open up. I don't know if that's maybe something that MDS drilled into them. Look, you can't give up this first goal, you've got to be tight in that first half. And they just can't open up and get out of it. I don't know. But, I mean, the difference, again, between first and second half, it's mind-blowing how different it is. And if it was once every few games, you'd be like, okay, every game? I mean, I said Dahomey in that second half, different player. All of a sudden had this light about him and just life, and I jotted some things down here. 50th minute, there was a lovely corner to the back post. that was then kind of like lobbed towards the goal line. It was like a kind of Hail Mary last second pass in NFL where everyone's just going up to try and catch the ball in the end zone, and no one got to it. And then White had a penalty shout, which would have been very soft if it was given, I think. And then the homie threw himself to the ground trying to get a penalty. That was never going to happen. But I mean, they started off that second half strong, and I nearly tweeted out, and something in my head said, I wouldn't do that because that's going to come back and bite you in the ass. I was going to tweet out, Portland looked gash in this half. Scottish phrase for being terrible. There's only one team going to score in this half, and that's the Whitecaps. And I thought, no, I won't do that. And then 3 minutes later, Portland took the lead. So, yeah.
Well, the Whitecaps did score.
Yeah, they did.
That's true. Actually, yes.
Right.
I saw.
You would have been fine to put that.
Man, I should have done that because technically I was right. Now, let's get to the only goal of the game, the deciding goal. I haven't looked to see what it's credited. I'm assuming it's down as a Ranko own goal.
Not initially by MLS.
Really?
Initially gave it to They initially gave. I think if they gave it to Mora initially, and then they switched it. I actually saw it on the feed when it switched to Ranko own goal. So it took them about 3, 4, or 5 minutes before.
At least they got it right now, because there's no way that was a.
They shouldn't even have got it. You shouldn't have got it wrong in the first place. That was so obviously an own goal.
To be fair, though, I thought it was a quality goal by them. Blanco, nice ball.
Yeah, I mean, he did well. The ball to him as well.
Exactly.
They crossed him at the back post. He did everything right.
Yeah.
I think he had meant to put it in for Chara, and he just hit it a little bit past Chara, and of course Ranko there. Now.
No, it wasn't going in the net either.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
People were saying on the
broadcast, right?
Dolan said it was going in. It was never going in.
It was not going in. Now, I've never played defence, so I don't know if I'm being harsh in this, but I was having a discussion with somebody, and they were saying, first thing you're taught as a defender is you do not defend those types of balls facing the goal. But could he have got ahead and turned round? I don't know that he could have. It happened so quick.
Well, let's reverse back to the cross that went into the Blanco. That should never have happened.
Right.
That's another. If it's zonal marking that was going on, that's another direct effect of zonal marking.
Yeah, I know that's a big bugbear of yours.
Nobody was on a Blanco. Like, Blanco's the only one in the box. So when there's only one player in the box, there's no need for zonal marking. Just get in front of that guy and don't let him get the ball on his foot. So in those kind of situations, that's where you throw the plan out the window and just hold on, like, get in front of the guy. Like, there was 2 players that could have easily got in front of Blanco, and neither one did.
No,
yeah, just too much space. So
when you're playing 3 at the back as well, zonal marking is really hard to pull off.
Right.
I've just put the game back on just now while we're talking, just to watch the goal back again. I'm trying to see where
that flow was. That flow?
It was Tybert.
It was
coming
Tybert
back, but and there was another center back. I think it might have been Flo on the
Flo was in the middle, so the ball goes over their heads. Rusty tries to jump, but he can't get to it. I'm just trying to watch. Oh, because initially Godoy's closing into Blanco. And then Blanco chips it in. Rusty just misses the header, which I don't think you could fault on Rusty there. But
and then the shot.
But they had opportunities to get in front of him to make it difficult for him to get on the ball. There was plenty of opportunity during that whole setup.
Yeah. Rusty got megged on the hit from Mora.
And I like just looking at Ranko. I don't know that he had any time to turn around and face the play, because he was trying. He put his arm out to try and push Chara off a little bit. So I don't know. I think a lot of centre backs may have turned that into the net, but at the same time, in saying that, I do think he should at least have got a foot on it to stop it, and then you're hoping that your goalkeeper then smothers it. But I mean, it was.
But I feel like he directed it
maybe
into
it was
the net.
flexors.
Yeah,
it might have been.
I'm watching a
But
different
the thing
angle
is,
here.
if he just-
Oh, he did.
If he just like got in front of I think it was Chara, like you said, and just shadowed him off, the ball was going right across the box. It wasn't even going into the net at all. So I don't know.
That's like, yeah, if he had just left it, that was running past.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's one of the poorest own goals you could give up.
I also can't tell. Did he hit it with his right foot or his
I
left
think
foot?
it was right foot.
Because that's the other thing is if he hits it with his left foot,
He didn't
it'll
even
make
hit it
sense.
properly. He didn't even hit it properly.
Yeah, I mean he's right-footed, so if he had used his left foot, I think it doesn't go in.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for the lad because it's obviously not his first own goal of the season, and he's had some up and down games, and then he was dropped last week, and then he comes back in a back three, and then that happens. I thought he would have been the guy that they would have taken off, actually. I was surprised it was Godoy.
Yeah.
Whether maybe Godoy was having some fitness things or not, I don't know. But for me, Ranko would have been the guy to take off it in that moment.
His other
It's a very good assumption that Godoy would have fitness.
his other own goals with his head though, right?
Yeah.
Not his right foot.
Yeah. But I was when he came on as the sub and had a very unfortunate first touch. But I mean, that was midway through the second half. I was still confident the Whitecaps were going to get a goal just with the way that they were playing. And I mean, they had chances. Like when Caicedo came on, he had a few like looks at goal. The best one was, I think Caicedo did everything right to get the shot off. And then Bravo just basically stops it on the line. It had got past Clark. A couple of things in that. First of all, great shot, great work by Caicedo. Good move by the Whitecaps to set it up. But that was fantastic defending by Bravo.
Right.
I know you could also argue it's just in the right place at the right time, but you've got to get in that place.
Yeah, but I think again, the Whitecaps, nobody followed up on the shot either. Like when you see the shot coming towards, nobody's moving towards the net. Again, they're just ball watching. Assuming that the ball will either be saved or go wide or whatever.
To quote a wise man, Michael, it's called the proper place at the proper time.
Yes. Which is something which maybe the Whitecaps defenders haven't done at the best of times. I mean, after that, there was a couple of other half chances. As the game ticked down, you're starting to think, oh, I'll just take a point here. And, I mean, let's be honest. This was a game that they could not afford to drop all 3 points in. Dropping 2 would have been bad enough, but coming from behind, you'd have taken a point at the end. But to lose all 3 potentially is massive. Now, they had an opportunity in stoppage time. They had a big kind of scramble. Gold had a shot that was then... Well, Cavallini heads it, Gold gets it, Clark saves, and then the follow-up shot by, it's a shot stroke cross by Ranko, was just so piss poor.
Yeah, it wasn't even a shot. I don't think it registered as a shot.
I think he was trying to do a cross, but he should have cut it back, or I don't know what. I mean, Gold maybe could have done better, but I mean, he first timed it. It was a good save by Clark. It was just that was a big opportunity. But again, Ranko getting forward well. I think it was actually Ranko that sent the cross into the box to begin with, that set that move up. But I mean, overall, a 1-0 defeat.
I mean, to be honest, huge points, right? But maybe it's even good to kind of start from zero. Maybe this whole winless, this whole run of games that they haven't lost. Maybe it got into their head too, and maybe it's good to start from zero again.
It was gonna end eventually.
It has to end eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it had to go at some point, but
it
it's
has to
like
end at some point.
You want to keep that going. You want to keep that at home.
I know, but sometimes
they're going to Colorado next week, and it's like, to me, I don't see them getting anything from that. That would have been, I'd have been fine for it to end.
Yeah, that's true. True. Yeah.
But I mean, the one thing that we know, because we're recording this part on Friday night, I'll do a little insert on how the game's going on Saturday later on in the pod. But the one thing we can be sure about is the Whitecaps are definitely not going to be in a playoff spot by the end of this weekend. Portland now have moved 4 points ahead of them. And that shows you how massive this was. If the Whitecaps had won tonight, I think it was almost certain, looking at the other fixtures, that they would have finished the weekend in the playoff places. You've got to take these points at home, and there's a couple of, the next 2 home games are massive. You've got FC Dallas and you've got San Jose. They're both must-wins. They're both 6-pointers. I feel this was as well, but a point wouldn't have been the end of the world because Portland are a good team. They're just going through a bit of a bad spell. How bad do you feel this puts them? What bad situation do you feel this puts them in, Zach?
Honestly, Michael, I don't think it's that bad. To be honest, I mean, it's really bad for the Cascadia Cup, but in terms of the league table and trying to make the playoffs, this doesn't have to be the end of the world. I think this can be just a blip for them, and they can, like you said, or like Naveed said, get on a roll again. Like, I think Vanny and the players will take some lessons from this and move forward. I know in striving to get a playoff position, you want to just spend as much time as you can above the line, but I really think this is about confidence. And I think over these last 10 games or 11 games or whatever, they've been building their confidence. And I don't think this is going to dent it hugely. It's obviously
I don't think it will dent confidence, but it's a big hit to the points that they need.
No, I agree with Zach there. I don't think for me, it's not really
breaking
it
them,
should
or-
the fact that they were missing still some of their starters and the lineup they had and everything like that. I think they can chalk that up to those things. Like confidence wise, if you get all your regular starters back, Javane Brown back in the lineup, you get Lucas Cavallini as a starter from the start or whatever, and then you could bring back Christian Gutierrez and put in Diver again. I think Christian Gutierrez has been missing from this team for too long a time, and bringing him back.
It looked like he was set to come back into things. I don't know what's happened.
I think maybe they wanted to take it easy, and they just got to keep everybody healthy and training. Really, they got to stop getting these training injuries that always keep to mess up with the lineup.
Brown was, like Caicedo, Brown was another breath of fresh air when he came on.
Oh, yeah.
Did Brown play for Jamaica the last couple? Did he play?
He only got a couple of minutes in their first game, and that was it.
And it was of his own accord.
Yeah. Now, as much as that loss to Portland could be very important come the end of this season, it's actually been not that bad a weekend in terms of other results for the Whitecaps. So just to rattle through the results in the Western Conference, all the other games that we're going to cover were played on Saturday. Colorado and LA Galaxy drew 1-1. That doesn't really affect the Whitecaps that much. Seattle beat Minnesota 1-0. Lone goal coming in the first half in that one. And that's a big win for the Whitecaps because it keeps Minnesota down there. The big game of the weekend, from a Whitecaps point of view, Dallas were at home to San Jose. San Jose took an early lead in this one from the spot. Dallas tied it up in the second half. It finished 1-1. Dallas will be wondering how they didn't come away with that with 3 points, but a share of the points there, massive result in terms of the Whitecaps' playoff chances. Houston beat Austin 3-0. That one doesn't really matter too much as well. Both those teams down the bottom, quite a bit behind the Whitecaps just now. And Sporting Kansas City, in a kind of rare late season cross-conference clash, beat Chicago 2-0. Both those goals coming in the first 6 minutes. There's one game still to come on Sunday. LAFC are at home to RSL. And that is another important one for the Whitecaps when we look at the current standings in the West. The top 4 continue to have a bit of a big gap between them and the chasing pack. The lead changed a couple of times over the course of the weekend. Colorado at 1 point were top. But the standings on Saturday night, when I'm recording this little piece, currently is Seattle top on 45, Kansas City second on 43, Colorado third on 42, LA Galaxy fourth on 37, Portland, with that win over Vancouver, move up to 5th on 33 points. Minnesota 6th now on 31. And Salt Lake, with this game still to play against LAFC, in the 7th and final playoff spot now on 30 points. You've then got the Whitecaps 1 point below that, 1 point below the playoff line on 29. LAFC on 27, so they could leapfrog the Whitecaps depending on how they get on against RSL. In some ways, that would be the better result for the Whitecaps because it's going to keep a couple of teams within a point of them. You've then got San Jose in 10th on 27, Dallas 11th on 26, showing again how big these games coming up against these two teams, the next two home games that the Whitecaps will be playing. Houston, the team sandwiched in between those two games on 12th on 22 points, and Austin still bringing up the rear on 19. So, I mean, one thing we can look at is Colorado's coming up next Sunday. Now, before the Whitecaps play there, some of the teams in and around them will have played 3 matches because there's games on Saturday, there's games midweek, and then other teams will have played the Saturday before that. So at least they'll know what they need to do. Colorado's just in such good form just now. But looking at the next lot of Whitecaps fixtures, it's Colorado away. And then for me, the 3 games after that is make or break for their season. It's home to Dallas, away to Houston, home to San Jose. You've got to be looking at 9 points from those.
Oh, I don't think they can get in 3 wins in a row.
The thing is, like you're already writing off the Colorado game. Yeah. I understand Colorado's doing really good, but there's always a chance for a banana peel. For the Whitecaps being the banana peel for Colorado.
Oh yeah,
they've done it in the past.
Yeah.
We don't know what Colorado's lineup gonna. Maybe they think they can take it easy, and because they do have to play Portland midweek before they have to travel up to Portland as well. So there is always a chance that they're going to see the Portland game as the more important one on the road and try to think they can easily take advantage of Vancouver on the road.
Well, hopefully they think that way because it'd be nice if they can beat Portland as well. Because a Portland winning that one would also not be.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't know how it's going to run up until then. So I'm not going to write off the Colorado game. These are the kind of games in the past that Whitecaps teams tend to win because nobody's expecting them to win.
Because the reason I said about those 3 games that I feel they're must win is because the 3 games after that is Seattle away, home to Kansas City, who are going through a bit up and down, especially on the road, and then away to Portland. And it's like, yikes.
No, that's a great point. I mean, just looking at it, I know Houston is they're last. Yeah, they're last.
Second to last.
It's tough playing in Texas always as well, and
yeah.
I mean, not easy, that's for sure. But
it's not the summer.
That's true.
Isn't it just always hot there? I don't know.
But again, like you said, like the games after those 3 games, yeah. I mean, you have Seattle, Kansas, Portland. That's going to be, might as well actually go all the way in for those 3 games.
The Athletic actually had an article for the playoff push kind of thing. And the Whitecaps over the remainder of the season have their opponents have the higher points per game. Them in Minnesota, 1.44. So based on that, they probably do have the hardest schedule of all the teams pushing for the playoffs.
Right.
Got to make those home points and those home games count, and sadly they didn't tonight. But that's it for our Whitecaps talk for this episode. We're going to be back talking the Canadian national team next. But before that, let's hear from this month's Artist of the Month here at AFTN, from Edinburgh, Scotland, Word SOS. And this episode, we're going back to an album that he released with his good friend Deco back in May of this year. 12 years since the pair had brought out their last album together, and the 2 Edinburgh-based MCs returned with an album called Sorry We Were Missed. We've played a couple of songs from that album earlier in the year when the album came out. We played Push Forward and Edinburgh, both of which were released as a double music video, which you can find on YouTube. Sorry We Were Missed is a 13-track album. This is the second track from it. And we're going to play it in full for you this episode. This is Just Us.
made for the mad bones of the last folk taking jokes at this totem pole. This is old school Ricky on the pedestal, reclaiming any position we might have let go. We're at business, my shit list is endless, but I'll never utter the other name of pretenders. Dissing word is a fetish, an SOS message, a pain-seeking domination, simple cry for attention. The claymore, the game's ours. Way upstreams with no hours, no tours, no updates. We sat in the back like you winding us up, mate, for fuck's sake. Held a candle on my birthday, watching the hearse make way. I'll skip the wait, come in a bad place. I'll talk about happy days when I'm happy, mate. Until then, sorry, sing along to this tragedy.
Yeah. Listen, don't know what started it off. When I was young, I was sick of it all. Didn't listen to dance or pop, a little of rock. Stuck in the trance like you go to church singing along. Whenever the radio would play you a hip-hop song. I was 8, maybe I was 9, was so influenced. Just know I'd do it, I'd listen to so much music. I could relate to the struggles too, like we go through it. Oh, do you really? That's kind of funny, you sure don't look it. Guess I'll never prove it, my family just wasn't impressed. Uncle said it's just people singing their name and address. It became an obsession of mine. To get to the top of hip-hop, I've nobody question my lines. Whenever I was in ciphers with people I'd shine. Became apparent it's all that I had to keep me in line. Then a sad situation unfolds. For everything that you stand for gives them ammo when making you fold.
Since a kid we spit this to impress, an in-depth analysation of interest. We all had a way of making sense of a sentence, using subtle subtext and concepts we leapt in. Drew, word heard, I get the two mixed up, so both get on my nerve. I'm not schizo, just a little depressed, so just wanna give a warning if you follow this trend, yeah. Then again, Ken, for some it's life. I've met a lot of lost souls that found themselves on mic. We've lost some of the best through the worst of times. Shouldn't have to feel that for us all to unite. The scene's always split at the seams, and it seems it can't be stitched together with some hopes and dreams. But screw it, it's music, there's really no blueprint. Right where you're stationary, keeping it moving.
Yo, so now a lot more involved, a couple songs made, give us a call. They want a feature, some will diss us just to see our response. And some will get caught in the middle, while others gravitate towards the spotlight, but don't want to share it like Beth Dittle. They'll distract you with their music videos. I want songs, watching with their arms like they're drowning in swimming pools. In my opinion, lots of rap battles are weak. Will someone tell them it'd sound a lot better on beats? See, I came to annul music, and they asked why would you want to rap when some of the best ones die? I said, why wouldn't you want to be with the best of all time? When I heard going back to Cali, I had tears in my eyes. See, there's not a question on whether we write. If this is in real time, if this is our real life. If ever we're out our minds, whenever we're on the mic, out of spite, redefine whatever they call life.
Word SOS and Deco there, Just Us, taken from their May 2021 album, Sorry We Were Missed. You can check out all of Word's stuff on Bandcamp, word.bandcamp.com. Lots of good stuff on there, some free downloads as well if you want to check out some stuff and just get used to his work. And if you like it, please support him. Buy some of his other albums. You can buy it on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple, everywhere that you would buy your music these days. So let's get back to the football chat now, and we're moving away from the Whitecaps, we're moving away from MLS and club football. We're going to turn our attention to the international stage. Because the World Cup qualifiers, the first lot of the octagon, they're all in the history books now, and Canada got off to a fantastic start in their first 3 games. Could have been better. 5 points from their 3 games. Undefeated through the 3 games. I'd have been expecting 6. We'd have been delighted with 7. Still disappointed that we let that Honduras one slide away. But I mean, Wednesday's results were very dramatic. We'll start by looking at Canada and El Salvador. But what's your overall thoughts on it, Zach? Just how that game played out, how these first 3 games have gone, and where Canada's sitting just now.
Where are you guys sitting?
Where are we sitting?
On the plane to Qatar. Where you guys? Do you have your seats?
Oh, you're that confident.
Hear that?
I right now, Scotland and Canada, for some weird reason I've pronounced it, Scotland and Canada are in really good positions to make Qatar, which makes it really hard for me not to go. But I don't
we
think
actually
I'll
all might
survive
end
the
up
heat.
there.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm joking. I haven't booked any kind of tickets yet, but
Come see AFTN Travel. I get Jeff good flights all the time. So.
Oh my. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. It's weird the way everything played out because, like we talked about before, that the game against Honduras was discouraging and concerning. And then the result against the Americans was encouraging. And then I think the result against Honduras, I think, has a little bit of both in it, to be honest. It's encouraging that they got the result. It's encouraging that they got the clean sheet. It's encouraging that I think most players escaped without injury, despite the various instances of
we'll come to some of those
evidence of what happens when there's no VAR. And but I think the discouraging side is the goal difference. The goal difference needed to be much more in that game, but. Yeah. No, I mean, all in all, I can't complain. After 3 matches, undefeated, 5 points, and what? I was second, right?
Second, yep.
Yeah. So it's hard to complain.
But I'm sure we'll find a way.
Yeah.
Naveed, are you confident? What's your feelings after these first 3 games?
Well, actually, I didn't get a chance to watch a game. It was weird. I mean, US shows a lot of these games.
Oh, of course. I'm forgetting, of course, that you're down in Sacramento, so you won't have Canada just streaming.
I didn't have no, but I watched the highlights.
I should have given you my One Soccer login.
Oh yeah. Oh well, next time. Well, the first 20. I just saw the highlights.
Allegedly.
Allegedly give you my One Soccer login.
But. I mean, the highlights, I'm sure the first 20 minutes looked like a lot of fun to watch.
I was working and I had said to Zach, I'm just going to watch it all on delay and I'll be about a half behind. But then I'm sitting at work and I thought, I'll stick on the first 10 minutes, just I'll use my data on my phone to watch it. And I was like, holy shit.
I just love the energy that John Herdman puts on the sideline. He is on fire sometimes. Like he is... that looked pretty decent, but overall,
he had a nice little dig in the post game as well when he was asked about how his players did. He said, "Oh, I mean, it's good. None of our players went on any little adventures around Toronto."
Oh boy, but
we need to talk about that in a moment.
Yeah, we will.
No, overall, it looks encouraging. Of course, I mean, as Zach said, I mean, the first game, I can only echo that. Kind of got worried, but performance against the US was pretty good, and good to see the win. Obviously, in the last game, I was actually more focusing on the US, and they are up and down. You don't know what.
I was so delighted at one point. All my fun stopped after.
I know
it was half time. I nipped down to Save On Foods to get some bread and milk. I came back and it was 1-1, and then it all went to shit after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Steve, I've saved you to last. Because I know what Canada does to you.
Yeah, I was way more relaxed by the second goal. That was fine. So
you were out of the fetal position.
Yeah, I was.
That's nice. Then 11 minutes in, and you can enjoy the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for all the time. I don't want to wait till the 80th minute. I don't need no drama. Just get the goals early and let me enjoy the game. I like this game was ideal. This is the way you kind of wish that they had started up against Honduras.
Yeah.
In the first game, and they were on the front foot the whole, especially at the start, and it felt like that that U.S. game, while it ended up being a draw, it gave them even more confidence and to push forward in this game. And you think of it, that it wasn't even their full lineup in this game, so they could even probably hit them more, and they should have probably scored more than 3 goals. They had a lot more opportunity to even make the game wider.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was a great start. It's the kind of start, we just talked about Whitecaps in this slow first half. They should just be made to watch this and go, this is what we want you guys to do and how we want you to move the ball. And
you should ask Max and Cava about it.
That's a good one. I might just do that. Cava might be an interesting answer if I ask him that. We'll maybe try and get that for next week's show. Let's talk about something that Zach mentioned there. So, it finished 3-0, and it should have been more. And it probably could have been more if El Salvador had been reduced by at least 1, maybe 2 red cards in the first 20 minutes. I'll state now, I like games with no VAR. I would prefer all games not to have VAR, because I just like human error and the chaos that comes with it. That said, if VAR had been in play here, definitely the stamp on Tejon, who was singled out for so much attention, and at some point he was going to snap, and of course he did, and picks up a booking for it. But Zach, those things flying in front of the linesman as well.
Yeah, CONCACAF World Cup qualifying is proof of one of the reasons why VAR is valuable beyond trying to get goals right and wrong. Like you saw how it changed. I forget who it was. Someone texted me about like how dirty the game is. Like it's so there's so much going on in this game that is like uncalled for. It would not happen if they knew that everyone watching, those watching would be able to do something about it. Because you're right. The one kind of sort of extra little step on or sliding down the side of his side that led to the second goal. That doesn't happen if there's VAR. It just doesn't happen. It was El Salvador just taking advantage of no VAR. So I don't take away from your desire to have the human error and stuff, Michael, and the traditional stuff. I'm not against that. But in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying, VAR serves a greater purpose in my opinion.
Canada just needs to learn to do all these things as well then to get their own back, which you feel they might need to do in some of these away games.
The thing is, though, in a way, they won 3-0, so it didn't affect them too much. I'm glad the red cards didn't come out, because then that would have just weakened El Salvador in their next game against Panama. And you want El Salvador to be at the strongest, so to maybe take
that's an important perspective.
Yeah, it is actually.
I'm more forgiving if they're able to do something to Panama.
I'll just be happy if Eric Zavaleta gets to play against Panama.
El Salvador, I expected a little bit more from them, and they had to, towards the end of the first half, they were starting to come back into the game. And they had a couple of half chances, really. But, Canada was in command from start to finish. Yeah, more than 3 would have been fantastic for goal difference, because you do feel it could come down to that, because teams are taking points off each other left, right and centre. We'll get to that in a sec. I'll just play a little bit of audio just now from after the match from a very delighted John Herdman.
It's what the team promised. Internally, we wanted to start at the same attacking intensity that they finished against Honduras. So we knew El Salvador, they had a really gutsy defense, and the longer they were able to stay in the game, the tougher it would get for us. We knew that. So the plan was to get right on the front foot and to give that intensity to every part of our attacking. So really proud of the lads, the way they took that on. They were able to silence the crowd. They were booed at home coming off the bus, which I think fired them up a little bit. It was just one of those starts. We knew we had to hit this team hard and had to hit it early, and everything pretty much inspired from, just carrying on that performance from Honduras. You are learning that there are dark arts here in the games in CONCACAF. It's part of the style. That team it's a big part of how they play. They have a high pressing system, high intensity players, but by breaking the game up constantly, they're able to quickly regenerate, recover, and then go again. So we knew that was part of it. We said embrace it, embrace all of that. But the bit that's important for us is when one guy goes down, all 11 are in. And that's one thing we've said with Canada. You know, there's never a man alone, and you'll see that every single time. That's what we've changed here. And I'm not asking them to step down from that. You know, I think I felt for Tejan, because I was saying to the fourth official, that was the 5th time he'd been hit and they hadn't issued a yellow. And then Tejan gets a yellow for reacting. I mean, the kid was able to withstand sort of 5 and then a stamp on his ribs. So it was just, it is what it is. I think we're enjoying that part of it, you know, being able to show, you know, in those moments that we'll always be together. And I think that's what teams know. They're up against 11 guys in every moment. Yeah, there's been growth. And like I say, if you get into the first day of training when you're bringing guys that haven't played together, for some of them for 8-9 weeks, and you've only got two sessions to bring them together, one thing that's clear is the foundation of trust. The culture is strong, and we will bounce back from tough moments. I think that's something that doesn't change. When we reconnect, we set the values. They created a new code of the shirt for this 14-game campaign. The leaders presented that, and that's our foundation. You know, we had no COVID cases. Players are dialed in. They're ready to fight for each other. And that's the foundation I think all success will be built on. And then we've seen the tactical shifts. You know, tonight they were able to start in that 4-4-2 high pressing. And then you see El Salvador started to get control and adapt their structures. So we were adapting again with a 5-3-2. And the players have had this experience together, either through June in the Gold Cup, that we can adapt in games and not get caught in long periods where we're losing momentum that lead to, you know, poor outcomes like goals conceded. So I think that was real growth tonight. We shifted structure, you know, 3-4 times, and the players were pretty seamless with it. So, and it's exciting to be with this group because they're so freaking talented. It's an absolute gift. Yeah, I mean, we're content. I mean, we wanted 7. I mean, 7 would have been, or 9 would have been the perfect start. But what we've learned is this is CONCACAF. We had to have that Honduras learning in the first 45 to feel the intensity when these teams are putting everything on the line, and they are. There's no doubt about that. You can feel it. No one's going to lie down or back down at any moment. So that was a great experience for us, and we needed it. And I'll say, given what I've seen from the results, there hasn't been too many goals separating teams. So to take 3 goals tonight and an away result against the US, and you know, to get the draw at home, that wasn't what we wanted, but we would take it, given what we've learned. So 5 points, I think, maybe puts us close to second place, and we just got to grow every game. And every game is going to be another battle. And it's I don't know how many we got left, 12, 13, 11, I don't know. I can't even remember. 11 games of a massive war to get us there. That's what we're in.
So some post-game thoughts there from John Herdman. Just before we kind of move on from that game, the crowd for it was just under the 15,000 that was allowed. I'd spoke to somebody, my good friend Rose, that was there, and she said it was such an amazing atmosphere. It was just fantastic, and it came across on the TV. I thought it was a great atmosphere. Toronto did the team proud, but there was an awful lot of away fans. Yes, there was a lot of blue there, and as Canada got off the bus to head into the stadium, they got booed.
Wow.
And we'll play some audio in a bit, but that pissed the players off so much to be booed in your home country. Now, I'll say this straight off. If you're El Salvadorian, I don't expect you to support Canada before your own country. If Scotland plays Canada, I'm supporting Scotland every single time. So I've no issue with that. I've no issue with fans buying tickets and going to cheer on El Salvador. If it was Scotland, I would do the same. What my issue is there's got to be some mechanisms in place to make sure it's Canadian fans that are buying the tickets, and that El Salvador fans are in a small section.
Yeah, this is a big, obviously been a big discussion on the social media
Yeah.
this week. And the CSA needs to take some responsibility because they can do a better job at controlling things. We've even seen and not to get into the which stadium should they play at conversation, but we have seen at BC Place them segregate supporters of opposing nations really well. One of the problems is with the whole bus situation is at BMO Field, I don't think there's a way, like I've been there. I know where the bus goes. I know where everything is at the back there of the stadium. I don't know that there's a way without them quartering off a bigger section for them to stop people from coming to where the buses come, which is maybe something they should look at doing. On the other hand, in the one instance, I think it was actually probably spurred our players on to pissed them off.
That's what they've basically said. So in that regard, I guess it backfired on them, and they did. The crowd in Toronto ended up quieting the El Salvador fans, helped by those early goals. But yeah, I mean that probably did fire them up a little bit. I don't know what the answer is because, yeah, I'm saying CSA should do something, but ultimately you can't profile somebody because of their name and think, oh, it might be an El Salvador fan, we won't sell him tickets.
I think we should get, if this helped them win this game 3-0, I say get some Voyageurs, dress them up in American, friendly, start booing the team as they come off the bus in future games, and then
throw bags of piss at them.
Yeah, change back into Canada, then go back to the stadium. I say go for it every game now.
Yeah, I see. I don't know if it's a replicable kind of thing, Steve. But Michael, I think the simple thing is as far as I know for this game, I don't think the CSA had actual away supporter section, right? Like if you're an El Salvadorian and you're just trying to get tickets to the game, or maybe where you want them in the stadium or whatever, it should be. And maybe they did stuff, so I apologize if they did, but it should be when you go to buy the tickets, it says, are you a Canada supporter? Are you an El Salvador supporter? There should be like links to go to whatever. That's to me how it should be. I know the CSA also needs to and wants to sell all the tickets they can.
Yeah, because if they didn't care about that, they could easily have just said no away supporters. And if you turn up in away colours, you don't get let in.
Yeah, but that would create different issues, and people would.
There's already created issues in Scotland because Rangers wouldn't sell tickets to Celtic fans for their last game, and then Celtic's doing it back, and it's all been.
And you go with the red shirt, Michael, and you just take it off, and it's not the easiest. I mean, that's not the most foolproof plan, but I think
Zach, we don't need a visual. You don't need to form it.
It starts.
Nice nipster.
This is the shirt you got me.
Oh.
It starts with having an actual designated away supporter section, which I think is a positive thing. You want the away supporters together. You want there to be a sort of a back and a forth. You want to let them be loud and drown them out.
And if the game's in Montreal, you want to know where the ultras can find them.
But it's interesting that we're having this discussion because the discussion has changed considerably. Like I remember in around 2008-ish, coming out of the march with the Voyageurs or going to the stadium, getting to Stade Saputo, you're the minority in a sea of blue, and it's crazy and confrontational and crazy stuff happening. So I know it's not where it needs to be. But we also, I think, need to look back and say, hey, we've made progress. And like you said, Michael, I think kudos to, Jamie and Rob and Kristen and all the people working with the Voyageurs to make things happen. The flag display was nice. I think there was all the reports I heard was of good, unified singing together. Yeah. And the players loved, I'm not a personal fan of it, but the actual chant itself, but the post-match celebration was loved and adored, and just lots of encouraging things, right?
They sang Stand By Me, right?
No, they did the Viking clap.
So just to be clear, AFTN does not endorse beating away supporters. But if it does happen, whatever.
Yeah, remember it's Football Violence Awareness Month, Steve.
Exactly. No, I remember that.
But I love the fact that Milan Borjan just publicly just went out and said, "I hate the fact that there was it needs to be all red."
He wants all red, and actually, talking a lot, it's set me up nicely. Let's just hear a little.
With the beatings, you would get all red.
Exactly. The blue shirts would soon be red in no time. Moving quickly on, let's just hear some audio now from after the game. We'll hear from Atiba, Hutchinson and Milan Borjan.
Just going out onto the streets, there's a lot more people showing interest and knowing what's going on. I know in the past when we would be here, nobody would even know we had a game here, and that's a lot different now. So it's very pleasing to see, and it's only the start of it. I think we have still a long way to go, but this is what we want to see here in this country. We want to see that interest and people backing us, and wearing the red jerseys in the stadiums when we come out here to play. So yeah, it's great to see, and the better we do, the more they come out, and we're very grateful to see what's going on right now, and we just keep pushing it and hoping it will get bigger and bigger.
It's something that we keep between us. We're brothers here. We stay together, and I told them this is their home. This is where we play. This is our home, and too many El Salvadorian fans came today, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't give this team, bad things. That gives us motivation, and we had our fans which were amazing. I want to say right now, thank you to all the fans that came, like Canadian fans, and we need more of this. We need Canada to wake up, to support this team, because this team can go a long way. World Cup is just right there. We're 1 foot inside. We just have to keep going like this, and this stadium has to be full of red, not blue, green, or whatever. It has to be red, all red. Canadian fans. We just have to continue like this. I mean, we just have to continue breaking records, continue playing very good, continue winning, and bring Canada to the World Cup. This is what Canada deserves, especially these fans that came tonight. This is Canada. This is new Canada, and I would like to call every Canadian right now for the next game to come and support us, to wear the red and come and just give us the support, because we need that. We need that from you guys, especially when we play at home. We cannot have people from different countries coming to the stadium and wearing different shirts. We have to be Canadian. We have to be red. That's my message.
So that was Atiba, Hutchinson and Milan Borjan there, just giving their thoughts on the crowd and what they'd like to see ideally at these matches.
Milan Borjan, I really appreciate him and his passion. We didn't talk about this, but it was really funny in the American game how they were booing him and he was kind of like calling them on kind of thing. And it's just like you think Milan Borjan's affected by boos?
Oh yeah,
like, the dude has played in the derby and with Red Star and Partizan.
Yeah. Exactly. He's probably faced way dangerous things in chance.
Right.
I think it's because there has been a few American keepers that's been affected by boos over the last few years. We won't throw those names out there though. Anyway, again, moving swiftly on. So I mean the other midweek results. So it was Panama 1, Mexico 1.
Wow.
And Blackburn opened the scoring for Panama. It was 1-0 at half-time before your boy Zach, Jesus, he got a goal with 14 minutes to go.
Jesus always scores.
Yeah. Corona hitting Panama hard. Who'd have thought that happened? So that was a 1-0 draw, which not ideal. I've stated I want Mexico to win every single game.
Okay, hang on. One thing about that. I was texting with Slamo this week or around the games and stuff, and he mentioned to me something important about this, Michael.
Okay.
It might not be the best for Canada if Mexico walks it at the beginning, because if they do,
they might rest.
At the end, they might rest players or put in different squads, and that has cost Canada in the past. And so it might not be the most ideal if they totally run away with it, except for against us.
Okay, so that draw might be fantastic. I mean, let's talk about Panama here, because at one point in this game, they were on course to be sitting top of the table, cock a hoop. I think they've done what I expected Jamaica to do. Because I thought Jamaica would be the team that might be the surprise package here.
And they're doing it of their own accord.
Yes. I did not see Panama doing this. But they did have a strong qualifying campaign, obviously, like Canada did. But again, not quality opposition that they were coming up against. But they've been impressive so far. And it makes this match coming up in the next phase, where Canada's hosting them on October 13th, huge potentially.
Yeah. Again, it's a home game. It's at BMO. We have to win. Like, there's no two ways around that. We have to come out with 3 points.
Now, talking to Jamaica, they came away with a 1-1 draw against Costa Rica. Costa Rica led this one at the half and finished 1-1. Now, I was speaking to a guy at work this week that had come in, and he was Costa Rican. And so we're just chatting about football. He was delighted that I knew who Saprissa was, because that was his team. And then we were talking about Kendall Waston and Christian Bolaños and CONCACAF qualifying and everything like that.
No Jordan Smith?
I was just going to say no Jordan Smith.
Do you know, I said to him, we had another Costa Rican guy. I can't remember who it was. That's who it was.
Yeah.
Ah.
I can't believe you didn't remember that Costa Rican type named Jordan Smith.
Yeah. I obviously, I've put him, as many other players that we've signed in the last 10 years, firmly out of my memory. But he feels Costa Rica's going to come good, and they've had slow starts before in World Cup qualifying. He said, don't write them off yet. So I had, but this draw against Jamaica is good for Canada, because if Costa Rica had held on to win this, it would have really given Costa Rica a big boost here. And then the Honduras-US game. So we'll talk a little bit about this quickly. And we'll start with Naveed, because obviously you are American now.
Well, no.
The mood at half-time on Twitter from the American fans, was glorious.
If there was a way we could harness their tears and use them during the forest fire season, it would be so great.
What I will say, though, Naveed, is I have to tip my invisible hat here to Greg Berhalter in one regard, because he said after the game,
the changes
it had got to half-time. I realised it wasn't working.
Yeah.
I learned from Canada where I didn't make changes, and I made them at half-time.
You pulled them off that time.
They were a different team in the second half, and Honduras could have had a couple of goals in the first, but in the end, US steamrollered them. What do you think of Berhalter?
Interesting. It's difficult. I still can't make up my mind on what this team is about. I seriously, I still think they can't deal with the pressure in terms of everyone expecting them to go up and qualify.
Well, I'd seen an article before their first game, and I can't remember where it was or who it was about, but it was about a player and about how he was going to be one of the stars at the Qatar World Cup.
Yeah, all
and it's
that
like you haven't even
stuff.
played your first qualifying game.
It's the whole American, I don't know if I should say arrogance. And
no, it is. Yeah,
it's
they
ridiculous.
are. I like that in a way, because I feel if you've got that, you carry this air about you, and that can get you points sometimes.
Exactly.
But then when it goes tits up, it's like...
Exactly.
But
I mean, credit to them.
It was a great second half performance.
Exactly. Getting back, coming back. I mean, in that tough environment for coming back, it's that's good. But yeah.
And the thing is it was Ricardo Pepi that really turned it around from him in that second half.
Yeah.
I mentioned that I don't know why they didn't start him earlier.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
He basically scored a goal and set up two.
He's the informed guy. It's like, who cares how old he is? He's the guy that's actually scoring goals just now.
So, I totally agree with Steve on that. Like, I know he was talking about last show, but like, when you talk about how do you rate Berhalter, well, it's like, he did the things he should have done in the first place. So I don't know if you can really say he's, wise. You know what I mean? Like, he still doesn't. I mean, he has them in an okay spot, but it's not where they should be, right? And as much as we'll make fun of the tears of their fans, like, they do have something to be extremely frustrated about.
Yeah. I mean, at half time, if he had not turned that around, I'm not sure he would have been in charge for the next 3 games.
I was actually just going to say that if
Yeah.
I thought about it, if they lose this game, and I mean, it would be interesting to see what would happen.
I don't know who they go for in a situation like that either, because everyone else is at a club. It's like no one's going to leave a club saying MLS as you go into the run-in. Well, apart from Freddy Juarez, obviously. But I guess you could kind of juggle it. But
Bruce Arena could do both.
Yeah, probably. He can.
It
can
was
do a
odd.
World Cup, MLS Cup double. So just before we move on from talking about the US, let's talk about Weston McKennie. What a bad boy. Billie Eilish would maybe sing a song about him. Yeah, sent home from the US camp for breaching team protocols, they initially said, and then it's like COVID protocols. And it seems not once, but at least twice, and maybe who knows how many things. And it's not the first time that he has got into trouble for such things, having had a house party when he was with Juventus and being suspended there. Now, we're not saying he had a house party, but the US media are basically reporting that he was out when he shouldn't have been out, and then he brought somebody into the team bubble, kind of keeping it in the family, perhaps a little bit, Zach.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, it was great for Canada. It was huge for Canada, both him and Gio Reyna not being able to play. But it's so irresponsible. Like I don't think he. I mean, I don't know if he's just so young that he just doesn't get it. But like, I mean, this is. Can you imagine if for 2 times in a row the U.S. were to miss the World Cup? Like it would come back in part to this.
Yeah.
It would come back in part to dropping points at Canada at home, where their in my opinion, their linchpin in central midfield wasn't there.
But then I saw American fans on Twitter criticizing Berhalter for doing that and saying, "Oh, just ignore it." It's like like you've got to set an example for this.
There was no excuses for doing something like that, and I think Greg Berhalter, did the right call. That's for sure. I mean,
even if he did it in normal times, it's bad enough. But you're doing it during a pandemic.
You remember back in the day when Kakuta Mane was hot and young and stuff.
Yes,
the road game
and a good footballer.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's a game and he's not in the 18 on an away game, and everyone's like, "What's going on?" It's because he was breaking the rules. He was showing up late to meetings and stuff, and it was like
sliding into people's DMs.
Yeah, they could have ignored it and said, "Oh, look, he's scoring goals for us or setting up goals for us." But you can't in the team context because you lose the team.
Yeah, like if this was Canada and say it was someone like Alphonso Davies or Kyle Lara or Jonathan David, key guys, I'd back them all the way to say, "No, you're getting sent home because you've done something so stupid." He has to learn by it. He has apologised, but he didn't learn from breaching the protocols with his club. So I'm sure he'll get called into the next squad because I think the pressure will be on Berhalter to do that. But he's on a tight leash now.
Well, because didn't he like get suspended or like get removed from the team for the Canada game? Then he apologized, and then he did it again. Is that?
Was that what it was? I thought it was all the same incident. One was going out in the town, and then the second was bringing someone back.
Right. Well, but that was the
I'm trying not to say what folk are alleging out there, so you can Google it and see.
I kind of understand. Like, I know that I've heard his favorite song is by "I Want to Rock" by Twisted Sister, but even then, I think that you shouldn't be partying like that, and you should be able to handle it and keep it at home. There's plenty of movies you can rent on the hotel, through their on demand and everything if you're feeling lonely. So, and then you have to have like players like Christian Pulisic and veteran leaders like that having to answer questions in interviews afterwards.
I don't think the US handled it very well. They should just have come out and said what it was, and then just said, "We're drawing a line under it. We're not answering any questions on it. We've dealt with it. We move on. If it happens again, then we have to obviously deal with it further."
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it has any lasting effects.
Yeah. Hopefully that test comes back negative.
It was odd during these first 12 games that there were only 5 wins. of the
Yeah.
12 games. There are a lot of draws in there. Only Canada and Mexico were the only teams that won at home. 3 of the wins were on the road as well.
Interesting.
Which is
So
that,
a lot of
which is the U.S. The fact that U.S. won in Honduras is important for Canada. Canada needs to get a point or 3 in Honduras. It's
Oh yeah, because as funny as it would have been for Honduras to win that, it would have been terrible for Canada.
Yeah.
They're very capable of winning the road games in Honduras, Jamaica, and El Salvador. They are. I'm not saying they're going to win all of them, but they're very capable of getting wins out of those 3 games.
I mean, when you look at the standings, like Mexico's got 7, Canada, US, Panama all on 5, Costa Rica's on 4, Honduras.
Costa Rica's on 2.
Oh, 2. I can't read my writing here. Costa Rica's 2, Honduras 2, El Salvador 2, Jamaica 1. I mean, it's too early, obviously, to write any of the teams off because you just need to have a couple of wins here. But it's a nice gap that the top 4 has got over the bottom 4 just now. Costa Rica are the team you don't know. Can they turn it around? Are they going to suddenly hit form like the guy I was talking to said? Can Panama keep up the start that they've had? From a Canadian point of view, the next set of games, Mexico away, Jamaica away, Panama at home. But I mean, those games, like it's October 7th Mexico, October 10th Jamaica, October 13th Panama. A week of intense games. And it's something that John Herdman talked about. Like these guys, they play for the clubs and they maybe play twice a week at a push. They're not used to having this high intensity games with so much on the line so close together. Because even in like Gold Cup qualifying or whatever, you've got bigger gaps in between, and there's usually a few kind of easy group games kind of thrown in the mix as well. Every single game that they play in the octagon, it's got so much at stake and there's so little room for error that the players really have to be switched on mentally. And it's also going to take a toll with their bodies physically, you'd have to think.
And the thing is it's all depending on how they want to set up the roster. Do they want to go a little weaker against Mexico, knowing that it's even with a strong lineup, they have very little chance of picking up points, and then saving the 2 strongest lineups for Jamaica and Panama?
I definitely would.
Or do you put the strongest lineups on the ends and then go for the weaker, even though Jamaica is a game you could win on the road?
I think you have to put your strongest team out for those last 2 games.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, yeah, you can take something from Mexico, who haven't exactly looked fantastic, but they're going to be at home, they're going to have the crowd rowing them on. If they can get a point down there, huge.
Oh, huge, of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, right? Because the time is so tight. It's 6 days, right?
Yeah.
Like it is. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Herdman does. If we look at what he did here, yeah, you think exactly what you guys said. It'll be a 1B lineup against Mexico and then the 1A lineup for the next 2 games.
And the good thing is they have got so much depth just now. And it's kind of nice when you play that 1B one, because if you're still close, you've got some great pieces on the bench.
Yeah.
Of course, it's all dependent on injuries and everything, and they lost Fonzie for this last game.
What's the situation right
Well,
now?
it looks like he's fine and he might be
Yeah.
playing for Bayern at the weekend.
Yeah.
Which I predicted in
Yes.
the last show, that he was not that injured.
now? Okay.
But a caption is just a caption, Zach.
Caption is a caption, Steve. Come
Yeah.
on.
Oh, that caption, that caption I had more towards like Bayern or something like that. Like everybody should know that how important he is to Canada.
Yeah.
And if he thinks that somebody's doubting that, like he needs to look in the mirror.
It was good.
And also, he's got to be careful about what he captions as well.
Yeah.
Because people take it out of context all over the
Oh,
place.
yeah. Anything on social media gets taken out of context.
Which was nice to see him clarify because
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
But I think that's it for our Canada chat. Anything else you guys want to add to that?
I want to really see like what they can pull out in these next 3 games. That will really, because they're the 2 games. I think there's a 2-game window after that.
Yes.
And that again, that 2-day window, that's the one where they have 2 home games.
Yeah.
Costa Rica and Mexico, 4 games apart.
It's not been confirmed, but the first one looks like it's going to be in Edmonton because they can't have it at BC Place because of the Lions.
Yeah,
So
I think
I don't know whether they both go there or whether we may get the second one here.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Obviously, the American one in January looks like it has to be a BC place, but
See, it's all well and good said, oh, we want to make it difficult. Let's play it in Nunavut or something like that. It's like, yeah, your Canadian guys aren't used to playing in Nunavut weather either.
Right.
we'll talk about this maybe another time, Michael.
Yeah.
But the answer is what we've always said. It's what the players and
Yep.
coaches want and think will help them the most.
Yeah.
That's where the games need to be.
And if they say, look, we'd rather have Toronto for flying, fine,
Yeah,
do that.
totally.
It's annoying because we can't get to the games without jumping on a plane, which I really don't want to do at the moment. But yeah, if that's the players have to come first here, and whatever they want, that's what you do.
But
This is-
we're all saying 6 points from the October trifecta.
Yeah, has to be 6.
Yeah.
with a
4
small
at a
chance
push.
for 7.
Yeah,
I won 7.
anything between 4 and 7 would be good on a sliding scale of
Yeah, yeah.
excitement.
Yeah,
I mean, 4 wouldn't be the end of the world if you can take a point from Jamaica.
9 would like have
9, I'd be looking at the flights.
9. Oh, exactly. I was just going to call Jeff and
Yeah.
book them.
Then I'll have
Yeah.
my ticket, and Canada and Scotland will blow it in the last game, and I'll be stuck going to Qatar. At least I'll have a World Cup to watch, so there's that. But that is pretty much it for this episode of the show. But of course, we're going to finish with this week's wavelength, and it's Football Violence Awareness Month. And we're going back to 1982 in this episode, to Dagenham in London, and a punk and oi band that were active in the early 80s, split up for a while, got back together, still doing the occasional gig here and there. They're called The Ejected, and this is a song from their 1982 album, A Touch of Class. As a warning, there's a lot of swearing in this song, so if you have sensitive ears, I'd fast forward a few minutes to the end of the show. Although if you have sensitive ears, I'm not really sure why you're listening to this show in the first place. But this is the Ejected and Football song.
Running on the
from Dagenham in London, The Ejected from 1982 with Football Song. And we'll be back with another Football Violence Awareness Month song next episode. So that is it now for this week's show. Just before we go, let everyone know where they can find you online and any final thoughts or anything you've learned this week, Naveed.
Well, people can find me at nmashinchi. Nothing specific that I learned this week, but next 3 games for Canada are going to be huge, and even for the Caps after the Colorado game, I guess. So next 4 games for both, there's going to be decisive, that's for sure. Should be interesting to see how it will end up.
Exciting times. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Zachariam, and all I'll say is Allez les Rouges.
Steve?
You can find me on Twitter at Whitecaps Beat, and if you're at any point you're going to share your login for any kind of feature, always do it allegedly.
I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter, AFTN Canada. Read our stuff away from the numbers, aftn.ca. Give us a like on YouTube, youtube.com/AFTN Canada. Subscribe, all that nonsense. And follow us on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. And what I learned tonight was I should probably eat dinner before going to evening matches, because that then stopped me buying 8 slices of pizza on the way home. I only went in for 2, and then I thought, I'll get my wife 1. Oh, then maybe get her 2. Oh, but I don't know what ones to get. I'll just get 8 slices. Let's just fill the box. So we've got pizza all weekend, so it's going to be fun. But that is it for this week's show. We will be back next weekend as we look after what happened in Colorado. Fingers crossed it's 3 points. Until then, stay safe, take care, thanks for listening, and mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.